Welcome. Temporal Creep here, and I hope you enjoy this little story. The hum of the temporal displacement matrix vibrated through my teeth, a low, constant thrum that always set my nerves on edge. Beside me, Jackson, our team leader, stood like a statue, his face an unreadable mask. Jackson was a legend within the Foundation. And no, before you ask, it's not that Foundation. Ours is older, weirder, and deals with temporal anomalies, not SCPs. His file was thicker than a phone book. Black ops, psychological warfare, deep cover, you name it. His clearance level made the presidents look like a library card. If anyone could handle this mess, it was him. I, Daniel, on the other hand, was a glorified scribe, a historian tasked with documenting these insane jaunts into the past. My weapon was a pen and a voice recorder, not exactly comforting when you're about to step onto the Titanic well, not the Titanic. A temporal echo of it, a pocket reality created by some kind of resonance. The Foundation had been dabbling with time travel for over half a century, ever since uncovering those strange hieroglyphs in Egypt, but full-spectrum temporal jumps were new, volatile, and incredibly dangerous. This mission was proof of that. Our objective: retrieve an artifact known as the Aegis Shield, rumored to be a Byzantine relic acquired by a passenger. It supposedly possessed the ability to stabilize an individual's temporal signature, preventing them from being erased. The Foundation believed it could be the key to unlocking safe, large-scale temporal travel, if it even existed. The other members of our team were Anya, a seasoned linguist specializing in ancient languages, and Marcus, a tech whiz who could hack a toaster oven with his eyes closed. Anya was calm and collected, her knowledge a comforting presence. Marcus was Marcus. A bundle of nervous energy and witty remarks, always cracking jokes to diffuse the tension. He was good at what he did, though he had to be. We all did. "Brace yourselves," Jackson's voice cut through the humming, his eyes fixed on the swirling vortex in front of us. Temporal insertion in 3, 2, 1. The world dissolved into a kaleidoscope of colors and distorted shapes. I felt a sickening lurch in my stomach, a sensation of being pulled inside out and backwards through time. Then, just as abruptly, it stopped. We materialized in a dimly lit corridor, the air thick with the smell of salt water and coal smoke. The sounds of distant music and muffled conversations echoed around us. We were on the Titanic, or rather, a twisted, imperfect copy of it. The details were right, the ornate woodwork, the plush carpets, the grand staircase, but something was subtly off. A flickering light, a misplaced chair, a shadow that lingered a moment too long. The air crackled with an unseen energy, a palpable sense of wrongness. "Temporal readings are stable," Marcus announced, fiddling with his scanner. "But there's interference. Something is disrupting the field." "That would be the echo part," Jackson said grimly. "Remember your training. Stay close, stay alert, and document everything, Daniel." We moved cautiously through the corridors, the silence broken only by the rhythmic creaking of the ship and our own footsteps. It felt like walking through a museum, except the exhibits were alive, or rather undead. We saw them, the ghosts. Faint, translucent figures going about their business as if nothing had happened. A young couple dancing in the ballroom, a group of men playing cards in the smoking room, a mother comforting her child in a dimly lit cabin. They didn't seem to notice us. Or perhaps they couldn't. They were trapped in a loop, reliving their final moments on the doomed vessel. "Fascinating," Anya whispered, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and horror. Their temporal signatures are imprinted on this place. It's like a recording, playing on repeat. I scribbled furiously in my notebook, trying to capture everything I saw, everything I felt, the weight of history, the tragedy of that night, the sheer overwhelming sense of loss. It was almost too much to bear. Then things started to get weirder. We reached the grand staircase, the centerpiece of the Titanic, and found it distorted. The elegant banisters were twisted and gnarled, the once gleaming wood warped and rotten. The air around it shimmered like heat rising from asphalt. "Temporal anomaly," Jackson said, his voice low and tense. "Stay back." He approached the staircase cautiously, his hand resting on the grip of his sidearm. As he drew closer, the distortion intensified, the image of the staircase flickering in and out of existence. Then, with a sudden, ear-splitting crack, a figure materialized at the top of the stairs. It was a woman, dressed in a tattered evening gown, her face pale and gaunt. Her eyes were hollow sockets, filled with an unholy light. She looked directly at us, and a chilling wail echoed through the corridor. "Get away from here!" she shrieked, her voice raspy and filled with venom. "This ship is cursed!" Jackson didn't hesitate. He raised his weapon and fired a single shot. The bullet passed right through the woman, leaving no mark. She continued to scream, her voice growing louder, more piercing. "She's not tangible," Marcus stammered, his face pale. "She's a projection." "I know," Jackson said grimly, "but she's blocking our path." The woman lunged at us, her spectral hands reaching out to grasp us. Jackson pushed us back, firing his weapon repeatedly. The shots had no effect, but they seemed to distract her, buying us time. "We need to find another way around," Anya said urgently. "This is a dead end." We retreated, the woman's screams echoing behind us. We navigated through the labyrinthine corridors of the ship, the sense of dread growing with each step. We encountered more ghosts, more anomalies, each more disturbing than the last. In one cabin, we found a group of spectral children playing a macabre game of tag, their laughter echoing with a chilling, unnatural quality. In another, we witnessed a man slowly drowning in a room that was inexplicably filling with water, his eyes wide with terror. In the engine room, we saw the ghostly figures of the stokers shoveling coal into the furnaces, their faces blackened with soot, their bodies drenched in sweat. "This is unbearable," Marcus whispered, his voice trembling. "I can't take it anymore." "Keep it together, Marcus," Jackson snapped. "We're almost there." According to the Foundation's intel, the Aegis shield was located in the captain's quarters. After what felt like an eternity, we finally reached it. The door to the captain's quarters was locked, but Marcus quickly bypassed the mechanism with his trusty lockpicks. We entered the room cautiously, our weapons drawn. The room was opulent but eerily silent. The captain's desk was covered in charts and documents, his chair still turned towards the window. We searched the room thoroughly, but there was no sign of the Aegis shield. "It's not here," Anya said, disappointment evident in her voice. "The intel was wrong." "Not necessarily," Jackson said, his eyes scanning the room. "It could be hidden." He approached the captain's desk and began to examine the charts and documents. As he did so, he noticed something strange, a small, almost imperceptible symbol etched into the corner of one of the charts. "This is it," he said, his voice low. "This is the key." He pressed on the symbol, and a section of the desk slid open, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, was the Aegis shield. It was a small, circular shield made of some kind of dark, metallic material. Strange symbols were etched into its surface, glowing with a faint ethereal light. "We found it," I said, relief flooding through me. "Let's get out of here." But as Jackson reached for the shield, the room began to shake violently. The lights flickered and died, plunging us into darkness. A blood-curdling scream echoed through the ship, louder and more terrifying than anything we had heard before. "The curse," Anya whispered, her voice filled with dread. "It's protecting the shield." Suddenly the room was filled with spectral figures, their eyes burning with hatred. They lunged at us, their cold, dead hands reaching out to drag us into the abyss. "Defend yourselves!" Jackson roared, firing his weapon into the crowd of ghosts. But it was no use. There were too many of them, and our weapons had no effect. Anya was grabbed by several spectral figures, her screams cut short as she was pulled into the darkness. Marcus was tackled to the ground, his cries for help fading as the ghosts swarmed over him. "Anya! Marcus!" I shouted, my voice choked with terror. But it was too late. They were gone. Jackson grabbed me by the arm and dragged me towards the door. "We have to get out of here," he yelled. We fought our way through the crowd of ghosts, our bodies bruised and battered. We stumbled out of the captain's quarters and into the corridor, the screams of the damned echoing behind us. We ran, our lungs burning, our hearts pounding. We didn't stop until we reached the temporal displacement matrix. Jackson activated the device, and the swirling vortex reappeared before us. "Get in!" he shouted. We jumped into the vortex, and the world dissolved around us once more. The sensation of being pulled apart and reassembled returned, even more intense than before. Then, just as abruptly, it stopped. We materialized back in the Foundation's temporal research facility, the hum of the displacement matrix a comforting sound after the horrors we had witnessed. We were safe, but at what cost? Anya and Marcus were dead, victims of the Titanic's curse. Their names would be added to the growing list of casualties of the Foundation's temporal experiments. Jackson stood silently, staring at the Aegis shield in his hand. His face was grim, his eyes filled with a deep, unyielding sadness. "We retrieved the artifact," I said, trying to break the silence. "We succeeded in our mission." "At what cost, Daniel?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "At what cost?" The Aegis shield was secured, but the mission's failure weighed heavily on Jackson. The Foundation offered him not only the lead for the next mission, but also the chance to train new recruits. He accepted, his resolve hardened by the loss of Anya and Marcus. He wouldn't let their deaths be in vain. He would ensure that the next team was prepared, not just physically, but mentally, for the horrors that awaited them in the twisted echoes of the past. He would make sure they were ready to face the ghosts, the anomalies, and the curses that lurked in the shadows of time. And I, Daniel, would be there to document it all, to bear witness to the triumphs and tragedies of the Foundation's quest for temporal mastery. The following weeks were grueling. Jackson pushed the new recruits to their absolute limits. He drilled them on combat tactics, psychological resilience, and temporal anomaly identification. He showed them the horrors we had faced on the Titanic, the faces of Anya and Marcus serving as a constant reminder of the stakes involved. One evening, after a particularly brutal training session, Jackson found me in the archives, poring over the mission logs. He sat down beside me, his gaze fixed on the holodisplay showcasing the Titanic's schematics. "You blame me, don't you, Daniel?" he said, his voice low. I hesitated. I don't know, Jackson. I can't shake the image of Anya and Marcus. Was it worth it? Jackson sighed. I ask myself that every day, but we can't stop. The potential of temporal travel is too great. We have to learn to control it, to master it, and that means taking risks, making sacrifices. But at what cost? I repeated, the question echoing in the silence. We'll make sure the cost is never this high again, Daniel. I promise you that. They're gone, but they will not be forgotten. His words offered little comfort, but I knew he meant them. Jackson was a man of unwavering resolve. Driven by a sense of duty that bordered on obsession, he would not rest until the Foundation had unlocked the secrets of time, no matter the price. The next mission was already in the planning stages. A temporal anomaly had been detected in Tunguska, Siberia, dating back to 1908. A massive explosion, far exceeding anything caused by a meteor, had leveled an entire forest. The Foundation suspected temporal interference, a ripple caused by some unknown technology or event. Jackson would lead the team, and I would be there to document their findings. As I closed the archive for the night, a chilling thought lingered in my mind. We were playing with forces we didn't understand, venturing into the unknown with only a map drawn by madmen. The future, like the past, was a dangerous place, and we were just beginning to explore its darkest corners. I couldn't help but wonder how long before we would be counted among the lost, another echo in the halls of eternity.